welcome to my YouTube stream. This is the first ever stream that I have done. Right now, before we start the gaming, I'm just going to mod my shoes. Bet you know what I'm modding. If you watch the only video that I actually care about on this channel, you know, I'm a decently big Sonic fan. Don't have the money from a lot of the games, but still, I like Sonic. Should we react to YouTube stuff or play games? Yeah, this is the thing that's going on.
I'm about to share my experience as a manga artist. I've broken down this past 6 years in 7 phases. If you want to know who I am before I start getting into it, I have another video on my channel called Who Am I and Why Does It Matter? So it's gonna give you a perspective on what I'm about to say and where I come from. Alright, let's get to it. This video is an introduction to a series of 7 videos that are gonna come out in the next weeks and month. I want to mention that I'm not going to talk about how to draw this or that or get into any technical stuff. No. What I'm going to talk about is the reality of what it is to start with nothing and wanting to become a professional manga artist. What it's like to work every day for years without knowing if you'll succeed or not. And I'll be showing pages that I've drawn during each of these phases, so yeah, I'm sorry for what you're about to see. Phase number 1, the start. The start of a new hobby is always kind of the same thing. You try something out of sheer curiosity, you figure out the craft, you know? At that point, you don't even know where to start or how to do the layout of a page. But you try, you copy stuff you like, and you get out of your comfort zone. It's exciting and messy. As you can see, I didn't even know how to do the panels at first. I was just like, alright, at least I'm making something. I didn't even have a story or characters, I just drew a page. This phase is gonna last for a little while, until you start getting better at it and understanding the basics. Phase number 2. Routine and giving up. Yes, I'm already talking about routine. What's happening here is that it quickly stops being new and exciting. It's not like an iPhone game that constantly gives you free crystals at the beginning to keep you playing. A lot of people start new things out of curiosity, which is great, but they stop after a few hours or a few days, because they start to realize that it takes constant effort and work to get better. Not only does it take effort to keep making those shitty pages, but it takes conscious effort to figure out how to improve them. At that point, you're able to draw a full chapter. I've personally made a 64 pages one-shot. It took me about 4 months to make it, which undoubtedly forced me to start new habits in order to keep drawing every day. The routine had started. I'm pretty positive that most people who wanted to try to draw comics have given up by that point. But if you push through, that means that you have the necessary self-discipline to put in the effort. That means that you've made the decision that you wanted to be a manga artist. Phase number 3, time to change. Your pages are far from those of a professional manga artist. You start to dig into each skill necessary of another video on my channel called Who Am I and Why Does It Matter? So it's gonna give you a perspective on what I'm about to say and where I learned them. And sure, at first you're going to stick to manga style, copying mangas you like and trying to see how things are drawn in them. But then, you'll understand that you need to master the fundamentals, and that sounds just like what your art teacher would say, but it's true. And if you keep practicing, you feel that you're lacking something. Anatomy, perspective, lighting, figure drawing. You will learn all of these and especially how to use them in your comic. Manga and comics usually simplify the human form. The classic example is the eyes and the proportions. But these things didn't just happen out of nowhere. You need to master the fundamentals before being able to warp them, play with them, and employ them at the service of your comic. You'll eventually learn more about the craft itself, like composition, panel layout, or speech bubbles, giving you all the tools you need to make great pages. And it shows. But by learning all these new things, you start to take more and more hours to draw a single page. Phase number 5, Crisis. This one was pretty hard. I'm a naturally self-disciplined person. If I want to do something, I'll put in the effort. But this moment was hard. I was close to a professional level. By that I mean that if you saw these drawings in an actual published manga, it wouldn't feel off. Without being sensational, it just worked. I was working on a webcomic with about 100 readers, and I was at my 4th chapter. I'd been drawing this comic for a little more than a year and kept increasing the amount of work I was giving myself in order to get closer to the rhythm of a published manga. For chapter 3 and 4, I was drawing 2 pages a week. It took me about 20 and 30 hours for these 2 pages, so I had to find that time while still going to engineering school. 8 pages a month is 4 times too slow to become a professional, but I knew I had school at the same time, so I thought I could get to 16, 17 pages a month if I were working on it full time. A manga is about 180 and 200 pages, so that meant a book a year. Not great, but that's still something. However, the crippling thought of not being good enough had always been there, and this time it was taking place in the idea that I wasn't drawing fast enough. I burned myself out at the 4th chapter, trying to draw more and more, and I had to apologize to the readers for having to stop the comic abruptly. I also stopped drawing for 3 months. Drawing comic is not only about quality, it's also about quantity. You can't be published if you can't keep up. I was not ready, but a year and a half later,
thank you for,
I made a huge presentation of my manga.
For the one person who watched this
Phase number 6. Contacting the
stream
publisher.
thing.
Conversing with publishers has been a rather slow process for me. 6 months passed between the moment I sent the emails and the moment I got the final response. For the first 2 months, I didn't have a response, so I assumed that my project was just not interesting. Only after that did they ask me to see more pages. I was pumped and excited. I sent some old pages and they said that my manga was interesting and had potential. I'm summing it up fast, but that took about a month to get there. They also said that they wanted to see more recent pages because these were 2 years old.